I'm on the scene right now. I'm just going to pan over and show you exactly what's going on. You have a crew of at least 24 MTA LIRR workers on the scene here. They're pretty much breaking off this section where this 16-car freight train derailed during the 1 o'clock hour. Take a look at the train here. It's on its side, and you can see it looks as if it was carrying some sort of construction debris. That material somewhat spilled over on the side. You take a look underneath the car. You can see part of the wheels are still on the track, the other part completely off, and there's a guardrail that was protecting that freight train, and it's completely broken when that freight car toppled over. Stonely, I just spoke with a Long Island Railroad spokesperson who tells me it's hard to give a timeline as to when this freight car behind me will be removed from the tracks. The game plan right now is to remove the construction debris that the car was holding, so then a crane can lift the car and remove it from the tracks. It's not every day you can see the underbelly of a freight train car. This one's on its side, construction debris spilling over onto the surrounding patch of grass. A busted guardrail, a snapped connector cable, and crooked wheels clue you in on what's happened here. A train has derailed just west of the Wantagh Parkway.
Shocking. Didn't expect to see it, especially right here,
Joe Costello was working in this warehouse across from the tracks when this freight car fell over shortly after 1 o'clock.
Thought we would have heard something because it, fell over, but didn't hear a thing.
The view from Chopper 12 shows the last car broke off about 40 yards from the other 15 cars it was traveling with. The last 2 cars ended up coming off the tracks.
It's crazy. Just thank God it wasn't a passenger train, because that would have been serious.
But passengers commuting on nearby LIRR tracks are facing their own problems.
I'm on the train, and all of a sudden we get to Hicksville, and they say it's delayed.
Janine Fogarty was on her way to Penn Station, but the boards say it all. If your train isn't canceled, it's on a delay. Dozens of MTA hard hats arrived on scene to assess just what happened here. In the meantime, the derailment has Long Islanders concerned.
It's a little worrying.
Definitely questionable. Like I said, I don't know what the operator was doing, or if it's just old equipment, or, it could be anything.
Now you can see these crews again removing this construction debris so they can eventually remove this freight car. At this point, the Long Island Railroad spokesperson tells me there are about 10 to 15-minute delays on the Port Jefferson and Ronkonkoma branches, which is an improvement from the 30 to 40-minute delays we saw earlier today when this train derailed. Again, westbound service on the Ronkonkoma, Port Jeff, and Huntington branches to Jamaica is canceled until 8 o'clock tonight, and you'll want to stay with News 12 for updates on those delays. And if you're trying to figure out how you're going to get to work tomorrow morning, again, the LIRR says it's hard to give a timeline as to when this car will be removed, what those delays will be like in the morning, so you'll want to keep it here for the latest updates. At this point, Stonely, crews are now spilling onto this parking lot right next to the train tracks, and you can see they filled this lot with their heavy-duty trucks to bring in specialty equipment to address this derailment. This truck here even has a crane that was lifting the heavy equipment from the trucks to attack this car right here that is still on its side on the tracks. Now, it's not until that car is removed that crews will be able to fully assess the damage, but we already know hundreds of feet of track were ruined after that car toppled over. Now, at last check, delays on the Port Jeff and Ronkonkoma lines were running 10 to 15 minutes. And if you're heading westbound on those lines, there is limited service that is restored to get to Penn and to Jamaica. Again, crews tell me they're going to be here all night in an effort to get that car off of the tracks. So as far as your morning commute, officials tell me it's still up in the air just what those delays will be like. So you'll want to stay with News 12 for the very latest updates. Here in Westbury, Alicia Laventure, News 12, Long Island. Humming generators power elevated floodlights, lighting up the nighttime sky. Below, a toppled freight train on its side and dozens of MTA hard hats on hand.
There certainly is a lot of work that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be working overnight.
For the better part of a day, crews have been repairing damaged train track after the last 2 cars on this 16-car train jumped the tracks shortly after 1 on Tuesday. Tonight, they continued to clear the construction debris this car was carrying. Then they'll use a crane to remove the car and fully assess the damage.
I know this sort of thing doesn't happen every day. It just Sort of seems like it does, though.
Canceled trains and plenty of delays on the Ronkonkoma and Port Jefferson lines made for very frustrated commuters.
I'm not happy. We missed the train and then we're stuck now. It's just absolutely crazy.
Others, though, managed to take the service cuts in stride.
Just need to be patient. There's nothing you can do about it.
Commuters should plan to carry patience with them as they approach the platform for the morning rush. These crews will be out here working overnight, during which time there will be limited service on the Ronkonkoma and Port Jefferson lines. So to find out what that means for your morning commute, you'll want to head to news12.com and click on numbers and links for the latest on any service changes and updates to the schedule. In Westbury, Alicia Laventure, News 12 Long Island.